What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Happy Tuesday to you all out there in Cleveland Browns land. Welcome into episode 134 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Nick. Below us, Mr. Casey Kennan. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage Apparel. Nick's got the NFL Blitz. I got the Cleveland Browns orange jersey. Pay attention to Network 216's socials and Homage's socials on Thursday. Really, really cool thing coming down the pipe very soon. So make sure you're prepared to check that out. And there's a link down in the description below. If you're on YouTube, gentlemen, how are we this fine Tuesday?
I'm practicing for the whiteout Thursday. Can you tell? Is this a good start?
Is that the best you can do for white? Because there's not much white there.
Well, I'm working on it. Okay, sir. But
I'm just asking.
Well, Nick Chubb, you know what? I need more Nick Chubb, and I need more whiteout. And I need all of it. And I am so excited. I hope you all had a great Victory Christmas. I'm calling it Victory Christmas. That's a thing from here on out. Mm-hmm. I can't believe we're 10-5. I love it. I'm soaking it in like a sponge.
Your boy's on the struggle bus. I'm trying to stay off the IR. I got a little bit of the Christmas ick. I'm trying to push through, but it always makes it easy when you get to talk about what's going on right now with the Browns. Like, I think that's going to be enough to raise my spirits and pull me up out of this mucky muck that I'm in tonight, and get to talk about playoff football.
Playoffs.
Oh, God, that just sounds good.
It sounds really good. I've been sitting around kind of thinking of some stuff. Just looking back, I rewatched the game earlier a little bit ago, trying to go back through some things, and just that game was over from the start nearly. Like, I mean, that's what they did. And one thing I wanted to talk about just first in the forefront, and we'll get to Joe Flacco and everything else in just a second. We asked this team, and I know it was Case Keenum. I know there was no Tank Dell. I understand those situations that are going on. But guess what? You also don't have 25% of your salary cap. So I get it. I understand that. But we have seen this defense on the road in the last month or so not be very good on the road. Like, they leave Cleveland Browns Stadium and they were not good. Well, come Sunday, they showed up. The starters didn't allow a point. The backups allowed 2 scores and special teams allowed a touchdown. But when you go and watch just the portions of the game that had the starters, it was nasty. Yeah, I mean, that was a nasty defense. That was a defense that understood, hey, we have not been holding up our end of the bargain. And they played excellent complementary football because Flacco was throwing it all over the yard. He had to throw a couple heat checks up there as well while he's at it. He threw an interception trying for a heat check. And I don't blame him. When you come out there just hitting Flacco bomb after Flacco bomb, you just got to see what you got going on.
Yeah, why not?
But I just wanted to start there with the defense and just saying, hey, we asked them to rise to the occasion on the road. They rose to the occasion. Again, I understand who was at quarterback. I understand who was not playing for the Texans. But they rose to the occasion, and now, 2 days from now, in Cleveland, Ohio, on primetime, they have a chance to win a game that will immediately put them into the playoffs. And for me, I'm super excited about that. I love that this is, that they are now in this position. So I wanted to start there with the defense. And then wherever you guys want to go from here, let's go.
I'd like to build off the defense point because it's probably my second favorite stat of the day. First and foremost is number 2 over there. We'll get to him. But my second favorite stat of the day is that the Texans did not run an offensive play in Browns territory until it was 38-6, and the Browns put their backups in. This was the Browns defense. There was never a chance that Case Keenum was going to beat them, as far as I'm concerned. They did not. They shut him down in a way that I have seen very few defenses. I mean, like they did to Arizona, like they did to Tennessee. There's just this trend of like pure domination from by the way, a very heavily injured Browns defense, and it's unbelievable to me the way that the defense has gone from what it was last season to just like, I still have it in my brain that the final game last year against Pittsburgh, when the Browns DBs are looking at each other, throwing their hands up like they were week 2, like they were week 1, right? And you're saying, how is this defense not communicating? And Pittsburgh beat them. And to go from that to utter dominance on that side of the ball in a year's time is unbelievable.
Yeah, that was my biggest question going into the game was we needed to see this defense travel.
Mhm.
We needed to see it, yes, 100%. We knew they were fully capable of doing it. They have the talent and they had done it in spots, but as of late, they were giving up 30 points a game on the road, but they went into a hostile territory, held it down. And it wasn't just what they treated Keenum, Devin Singletary. Like that dude's been tearing the league up this last 2 months and nothing. I mean, he absolutely nothing. And it was dominance up front. That line of scrimmage, the Texans had nothing for them. There was nothing they could do, and that's what you got to see is with the defense as talented as is, they need to keep getting the ball back to their offense, just giving their offense more opportunities. And we're starting to see this offense come together. The more reps that Flacco gets, they become more explosive. And we saw a very explosive offense against the Texans, and that's a good defense, man. D'Amico Ryan's group, and they're very aggressive and they get after it, and they had no answers. Like you said, it was 36-6 or whatever. And then, you let your foot off the gas and and I've seen critiques of that. And it's like, you understand they play in like 3 days. Like, they were just trying to like get everyone out of the game that they possibly could to be as healthy as possible for Thursday, because Thursday's game has such massive implications, and it played out pretty weird after they put the backups in. But like we're not even talking about backups at this point. We're talking about fourth stringers because of how decimated you are.
Backups are
already playing. Yeah. So, I mean, I get it, and it's like, should they have just started Davis Mills? Like
he was better.
He was better. Now, would he look better against that defense? Probably not.
No,
probably not. But either way, man, I mean, the Browns, when they handled their business, and I think that's the key, because everyone kept looking at these scenarios like, well, the Browns can't punch their playoff ticket today because so-and-so won yesterday. None of that shit matters. Handle your business. They can't stop you from making the playoffs if you handle your business. There's nothing they can do. If you win Thursday night, I don't give a shit what else happens. You're in the playoffs. Just
you're in.
Blinders, handle the biz, and that's what they did on Sunday.
I think – what's up, Browns Live? Glad you're in here. Glad you're hanging out. Connie went to the game. I forgot about that. I forgot that Connie had gone to the game. She swaggered in Houston and I love it. Good job, Connie. That's great.
Brought home that win, Connie. Great job.
Hey, we knew you were magic. We knew you were going to be special luck. We knew Connie was going to be in the building and that they were going to take care of business. So I'm glad that they took care of business with you in the building. 31 quarterback pressures. Again, another game with over 30 pressures. Myles Garrett, again, does not get a sack. He gets 8 pressures, though. 7 from Za'Darius, who had 2 sacks. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah had 1. D'Anthony Bell had 1. 4 pressures for the newly elevated Sam Kamara. Had a pretty good game. Donald Thompson had 2. 4 for Shelby Harris, who also created an interception because, as we have seen Shelby Harris do all year, he put those big old mitts up in the air, and JOK got another interception.
No, he's not good. If he was good, some other team would have signed him sooner than the Browns did. I'm not letting it go. I won't let it go.
1 pressure for Daron Harmon and 3 pressures, 1 sack for Alex Wright.
Ooh, Alex. Hello. How's that feel, Jacob? See you smile a little bit.
Told you. It's so funny because everybody was like, oh, my God, he sucked last year. Yeah, he was a guy coming from UAB that was as raw as you get. I mean, I want to point out Alex Wright, and I keep doing this, but I want to point out when he got to UAB, he was like 225, 230. He graduated at like 270. So like a guy that goes from this size to this size in the course of a couple of years, he didn't know how to use his size and athleticism in these giant long arms, and he just didn't understand what he was doing attacking. And then all of a sudden we get him here and he's had a chance to develop, and they're putting him inside. They're putting him inside next to Myles Garrett, and he is destroying people. Because what you're seeing like the guard and the tackle kick out, and then the center is trying to kick over to get Alex Wright. He's too explosive for that, man. He's too explosive for that. He blows right through you. He's too big, too strong, too long. And I just want to say that Alex Wright is a very good role player, and he's turning into just who I said he was. And neener. That's what I want to say.
Well, I think that should be a lesson to people to just you quit trying to put people in buckets right away. Dude was a rookie, raw, shouldn't even playing last year, kind of got thrown into it because of the injuries, and he wasn't ready. But people want to formulate you're either elite or you're trash, and somehow there's no in between. It's man, that kid's a developing player, and now you're seeing it come to fruition to the point now. It's going to be weird to see how it plays out. Some of it has to do with Ogbo's pec as far as what it looks like, next year even.
Next year.
But I honestly think that they're priming this kid to be a starter. I think that's his eventual landing spot is he's going to be opposite Miles at some point. That's just the way I see it.
I think it's all about Za'Darius too. Cause what do they do? Do they keep Za'Darius Smith for a year? Because they're probably not going to sign Za'Darius Smith to a long-term contract, but you could see a situation where, because I don't know. I know you guys saw that post-game locker room. Za'Darius Smith looks like he's having a good time out there. So, could there be a situation where, let's say they win a playoff game or two, and Za'Darius Smith's like, I'll run it back real quick. Let me run it back real quick, and with this unit and stuff like that. So it has to do with that. But yeah, no, man, he's absolutely getting groomed to be in there. So. Okay, so let's go. Let's continue with the defense. We do this a lot. And if you got something, Alex, right, go for it. But after that, I'll start with you, Nick, and you can go to Casey and stuff. Just someone that kind of stood out for you defensively that maybe you just want to talk about a little bit.
I just want to highlight a trend that's, because Casey, both you, Casey, and Jacob were talking about Alex Wright's development and putting guys in boxes. I feel like there was such a long period of time where draft picks just largely didn't pan out and didn't last long. But you're really seeing a trend in Cleveland now of guys developing. Jordan Elliott is helping you this year, and not a lot of people had a great thing to say about him before. JOK just got the green dot on his helmet.
Yes.
And and I know we'll get there, but my point is Alex Wright's developing, Jordan Elliott's developing, JOK is developing. You've got Ronnie Hickman going from UDFA to playing well once again. There's just this trend of development that I think should be earning more fans' faith with draft picks and giving them time to get to where they need to be.
I want to talk about a player. I want to talk about Mr. Martin Emerson. So you see the discourse, and he got called for a couple of holds, and then people equate that to a bad game. Nah, dog, that's his game. His game is the physicality, being physical with these receivers. Now, some crews are going to call it. Some crews aren't. He's the physical dude, man. He didn't let it shake him. He didn't start playing his game differently because all of a sudden the refs were a little more touchy than they usually are. And he's an emerging star. He's a dude, man. That dude, in my mind, he's a Pro Bowler this year. And if you told me I got to pick one defensive back from the Browns to put on the Pro Bowl, I'm putting MJ Emerson. That's my selection. He's such a difference maker, man. And he because of that length, because of that strength, because of his physicality, because of his attitude and the way he goes about the business, you know what I mean? It's just everything this defense embodies. He's perfect, and they have and they're different in that room. You know what I mean? They just have different skill sets, and he's that mugger, dude. I see you out there, man. He's doing work, and don't get held up on people calling flags every now and again. Just do you, because that's what's got him this far, and dude. He's in receivers' heads. They have bad days when they're lined up across 23. You know what I mean? There's no free meals, and I just love to think what could play out down the stretch of the playoffs, because I think that's when he's really going to get the shine.
Go ahead, Nick.
I just want to say to your point about Emerson, I feel like he's frustrated some of these receivers that don't want to be so physical this year.
He probably is. You
could definitely see it. The body language on some of like Nico Collins, you could tell that he was having himself a rough time there for a little bit, and that's so much fun to see.
Yeah, man. It was not good. Nick, do you got a defensive player you want to shout out?
Yes, Za'Darius Smith hello and welcome. I know he had 2 sacks, could have had 3. Penalty negated it. I love seeing it. He said this week that he wanted to contribute more and he wanted to up that sack total. And you saw him get to Case Keenum multiple times. And it's like, I think I saw a stat that Myles Garrett leads the league in pressures over the last month. Which is really impressive considering his shoulder, but he's not getting to the quarterback in terms of sacks, right? So to see Za'Darius convert on some of that stuff and just be on the other side there and that force, right? Because, you lose Obo and he was definitely contributing, which we'll see. He might be back per some reports here, which would be stellar news for the Browns. But just to see Za'Darius step up and be that guy that's giving you that sack production that, you lose Mo Hurst, you don't have Obo. I love that out of him. You could see that they shook Case up pretty well, and that was in large part because of what Za'Darius did. And I just love because a lot of people tried to knock the Smith trade originally, saying that like he had all his sacks early in the year and then he didn't have it afterwards. Well, now you're seeing Za'Darius step up at the end of the year and doing exactly what people were criticizing him for not last year, and I love that for him.
And if anybody watching on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you might be watching, if you've got a defensive player you want to shout out, fire it in the comments. We'll talk about that by all means. Yeah, Myles Garrett in the last 3 games has 26 quarterback pressures. Has 23 quarterback pressures. That leads the NFL. That's just a stat, man. Woof. Like you see stats like that, you're like, oh yeah, no, okay. Amari Cooper since week 11 has 633 yards. That's first in the NFL.
That's a stat. Thank you for that.
Since week 13, no quarterback in the NFL has thrown for more yards, 1,321, or touchdowns, 10, than Mr. Joe Flacco. So there's some. You wanted to talk about some numbers there. I gave you some numbers. Those are some numbers right there. I just wanted to real quick shout out a good player, a very good player. I just wanted to shout out Denzel Ward, man. Like I remember watching the first half of that game, and it was, I don't know, it's probably still the first quarter. It might have been into the second quarter, but my dad said something like, is Denzel out there? I haven't seen him, and he wasn't trying to say, anything bad or anything like that. He was just kind of curious. Has he been on the field? And I was like, I think he has, because he had no injury designation. Everything was be fine. And a few plays later, I actually saw him. I saw him standing there. He was like on the bottom of the screen to where you could actually see his number. And you're like, oh yeah, he's right there. And why I wanted to bring that up is because I bet most of you did the same thing. You were like, I think Denzel's playing because he's supposed to be playing, but nothing was happening because I think he got targeted. He ended up getting targeted 6 times. He only allowed 1 reception, but he did get targeted 6 times. And I think in the beginning of it, I don't think he was targeted in the very, very beginning of the game because neither I nor my dad was 100% sure he was on the field. And when you're a corner, that's what I want to see. And so Denzel missing 3 games and then coming back and still being, because he was fantastic before the injury. Like Denzel Ward has been like having a really fantastic season. He gets hurt. He misses some time. And whatever you want to say about handling of other shoulder injuries on the team, the handling of this one went really well because he stayed out an appropriate amount of time and he's came back playing at the level he was playing, if not even a little bit better, before the injury. And so for me, it's like, that's where I want to say something. That's why I wanted to talk about Denzel Ward, just because you need multiple really good corners come the postseason. It's just reality, because there are still some good quarterbacks, even though none of those quarterbacks have really put up crazy years. You know what I mean? Like crazy seasons like Pat Mahomes. I think Lamar's having a really good season, but there's no juggernaut quarterbacks right now. But all of the ones you're going to see in the playoffs can have a performance like that. Like, Patrick Mahomes can still be Patrick Mahomes if his wide receivers start catching the football. Lamar can still do Lamar things. We've seen it, Josh Allen, if he gets in, and I think he is. Josh Allen has been playing really well the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks, really, I think. you're going to have to be ready. You're going to be ready with those corners. And then just an honorable mention to Cam Mitchell, who continues to be very solid rotational player that I did not see coming. I didn't think you'd see Cam Mitchell much at all, let alone him playing at a really good level. Brown's Life says, I think Jordan Elliott's done a fantastic job. Yes. Yeah. He's done a fantastic job. And
they needed it.
And they've needed it. They've needed every bit of it, especially now that Mo Hurst is down. You definitely see, especially because Mo Hurst was one of the pass rushing DTs. So you really needed Jordan Elliott to continue to step up. And I think he's done it. Okay, guys, let's talk about how we're wacko for Flacco. Casey is primed and ready, so let's start with Casey. We'll go to Nick, and I'll wrap up the Joe Flacco talk.
I have zero prepared, but let's just rip it. I sold the man short when he came in. I thought it was like a floor deal. Turns out, nah, man, he gives you a puncher's chance against any team. And we're just seeing it expand. Like I that's what I said last week. I wanted to see just a slight uptick. Their ability to be explosive has to scare the shit out of defensive coordinators now. Yeah. Because and they're doing all this without a running game. Like virtually none. I think how many carries? How many carries do they have? For like 54 yards.
Yeah, it was 1.8.
Still less than 2 a clip.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like his ability to spin it, and they're still making play action work for him beautifully, I might add, not just work. It's actually a thing of beauty. But it's such a perfect fit. Flacco's skill set to what the receivers do, to how Stefanski likes to call games. Like this is a perfect storm. And the Browns are a team that nobody wants to see. And what's the difference? It's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is the reason that you don't want to play the Browns. Like, yeah, we knew their defense, but if they weren't going to be able to score 20 points, people can get in those rock fights,
Mm-hmm.
But the Browns have shown the capability now that they can push the rock on you and really loosen up things by taking that third level off. And just what he's been able to do with Amari Cooper. Like, I was looking at Amari's numbers today for his career. Amari's not too far away from a gold jacket. I mean,
wow, that's crazy.
If we're talking maybe 3 more seasons at the production he's done these last 2 years, I think he's in. I mean,
it's career high this year.
Dude, he's got 9,000 career receiving yards already.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he already had a career high in receiving yards. And their connection was unbelievable. Just there were so many teach tape moments in that game from Amari Cooper. And it all comes down to Flacco's ability to process, figure out where his leverage is, and let it rip, and then just let Cooper do his thing. And that throw to Njoku over the middle for the touchdown, like that's as high leverage of a throw as you're going to see, man. Like that. Yeah. There was no room for error in that, and there was no error at all. That was, and he was flat-footed throwing that, but that was like a 31-yard rope.
He doesn't care. I mean? He does not care about his footwork or mechanics. He's just going to sling that rock.
It's the timing. It's just the timing. It's more the timing than it is because of his arm strength. Mm-hmm. He can, and he's once again that legendary athleticism just kind of sneaks out, and you just see it like that. How many times did he get out of trouble?
Dude,
make a play.
That second drive where he gets out of trouble and throws a rope to Cedric Tillman to get a first down. That's a play that you come back to a lot.
I said to the guys pre-show, I was like, not in my wildest fantasies did I think Joe Flacco could play this well. I know we've seen him go nuclear, but you say to yourself, you're like, okay, this guy's 38. He's 39 next month. He's been in Cleveland for a little over a month now. And at the time, it's like, well, this dude just came off the couch. It's like, how good can he really be after being in Cleveland for a week? And he's up there now with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and all these other guys as one of the oldest quarterbacks to throw for 300 yards in 3 straight games, and just leading the league in passing yards per game, leading the league in touchdowns over the last 3, right?
Since 13.
Since
week 13, I think that's 4. Right?
So, yeah, over the last month. I mean,
because it's week 17 now, right? So it would have been 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, it would have been 4 last month.
Now he's the one of the leading candidates for comeback player of the year.
He's at
And I
least
think,
second.
yeah. What? Which is, I mean, that is unbelievable. Like you said this is a season of no like truly standout above all else quarterbacks. Well, if Joe Flacco had a full season here, I bet you he's on pace. I mean, he's on some kind of unbelievable, like a 40-some touchdown year and like I think like a 4,000 or 5,000
It's like
yards.
5.
Something unbelievable,
Like 5.
right? And like I get it, it's a month and that's not a full season, but it's just I think I'll summarize the whole point by saying my favorite thing about Joe Flacco is I looked at him when he had thrown 3 interceptions and been sacked a million times against Chicago, sitting on the bench, and then I looked at him after he is just overcoming not having a kicker and just throwing these bullets and setting helping Amari Cooper set records, and it's like he looks the same. His facial expression is the same. And I've never seen a quarterback just so unshakable, unflappable. Like when Baker Mayfield, and I'm not here to slander the guy, but when Baker Mayfield was having a bad day, you knew it when they showed him on the sideline. I don't know what Joe just looks the same all the time.
He just looks tired. He just always looks tired. He's like, oh.
You remember what I told you? I said he looks like a husband who's waiting for his wife to come out of Sam's Club forever. He's just sitting there just waiting.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. That's probably accurate. I just wanted to put up Connie's. She said it was absolutely anemic tailgating, and they sit during their games. Cleveland would never.
Cleveland would never. No. Look at you go, Connie.
Also, shout out to Connie. Yeah. She took the advice last week on the bet of Stefanski for Coach of the Year. She got in at plus 1,400 odds, I believe.
Good for you.
As of today. Those are like plus 150 or something.
What?
Yes.
Yes. I'd have to go.
Yeah, hers was BetMGM, I believe.
It was down to 164.
That's crazy.
It was plus 1,500 on FanDuel when we did it last week.
64, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
So,
Jacob Flacco fever. Like, what do you?
I don't even know what to say at this point about Flacco. Yeah, it's like I don't even know what to say at this. Everything has already been said. It's just he's got nothing to lose, and he's playing like it. Like he's out there playing like, hey man, I don't really care. I've got the arm talent, and I think it's almost a revenge tour where like he calls the Jets. Like he wants this game Thursday night. He calls the Jets and was like, hey, I can still play. Aaron's done. Let me go out there. They're like, nope. We're good. And he's like, oh. And then somebody finally calls, Cleveland calls. He's put in a system that he has been in before. He has been in the system multiple times. And he has the best route runner in football who is always where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be. And he has the best tight end after the catch right now. I think after catch, David Njoku right now, yards after catch is the best in the NFL. It's him, maybe George Kittle is having a pretty dang good year. So George Kittle's doing some pretty good things. But let me just say this. He has a top 5 tight end there. I think that's fair. I think and he's one of the best. I know he leads tight ends in yards after catch. That's why I said that. But he comes in there, he sees these two guys, and it's like, oh, you also got your old friend Elijah Moore. You know how he likes to operate. And Elijah Moore's not putting up crazy numbers or anything like that. But he's making, 3, 4, 5 catches a game, getting you 40, 50 yards, kind of what he needs to do. He's starting to build stuff with Cedric Tillman. He understands how his running backs like to operate. And it's just, Casey, you said it, it gets better each week because – they have reps together. But for me, it's just like, I don't know. He walked in off the street, said, I ain't got anything to lose. I can still play. And his kids are loving watching him. And he loves that is happening with his kids. And he's talked about it. Yeah. He talked about it the first time he talked in Cleveland, he brought that up the first time he talked in Cleveland. And then here he is, hey, I feel like a 10-year-old kid. He's out there. And if you want the definition of a dude that has nothing to lose and really nothing to prove, but thinks he does, that's what Joe Flacco is. He's just like, listen, man, like, I've got the arm. I still have the arm. I'm in a great situation here in Cleveland. And like, I just keep thinking to myself, like, can they make a Super Bowl? And like, I think they can. I don't know if they can win a Super Bowl. I don't even know if they can completely get there. But to say they can't, I think is silly. I think it's silly to just be like, no, absolutely not. They can't do it. I mean, they could be one and done in the playoffs. They could. They could go to the AFC Championship game. Like, I can see all of that. But with Flacco, you know that he has the big play ability. And whenever you have the threat of a big play, it makes everything else easier.
Can we just talk Brown's ceiling for a second? Because I at this point, I have no reason to doubt that. Yeah, I fully acknowledge that the Browns could be a one and done playoff team. But on the other end of that, why can't they win a Super Bowl? I watched Joe Flacco do it with a very similar type Ravens team where they just played great defense and he got really hot. Honestly,
Exactly.
he's probably hotter now. If I looked at Joe Flacco's last month this is going to be a great tweet. If I looked at Joe Flacco's last month with the Browns, and then I looked at Joe Flacco's historic Super Bowl run, which have better stats? I would bet his current month with the Browns.
No, because he didn't throw a single interception in those playoffs.
Okay.
He was better in that play. He threw 11 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Okay.
He's got more yards.
He's got more yards, yes.
Like 1,100 to 13.
So at least I understand the turnovers, right? That's obviously a thing, and it's a little skewed by what happened in Houston with Dustin Hopkins. However, all I'm saying is that it's certainly a similar level, right? Like, and so if Joe Flacco's playing at that level, and you're looking at all these quarterbacks over the last month, and Joe Flacco's up there with all of them, and you have a defense on top of that, why can't you win? Why?
I don't have an answer for you. I'm done trying to put a cap on it.
We tried.
When he first came in, I had an idea of what it would look like, and I don't know shit. We're talking. He hasn't thrown under 42 times a game yet. You know what I mean?
No.
They're putting it all on him, and part of it's out of necessity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's slinging the shit, dude. Like, there's no reason to cuff it. You know what I mean? Just keep letting them rip it, man. Like, it's who they've become on the fly, you know, out of necessity. And he's the perfect fit for what they're doing, man. And they're playing with house money at this point. You're on your fourth quarterback. You know what I mean? And teams are going to be scared to play you. What the hell does that say? You know what I mean? If you any other team in the league, if you were telling you tell me I'm playing Kansas City's fourth string quarterback, you feel pretty damn good about that, right?
Yeah.
No team wants to line up and play us right now. Like, across the league, that's a lot of problems. You know, it's the defense the defense can keep that same effort on the road. Flacco can, if they can put up 24 points, man. They're going to be in every single game. This is the recipe. We saw the recipe. That's what it is, man. It's condensing offenses, and it's going out there and stretching the field and getting the ball in your playmaker's hands. And he does it naturally. Like, it's intuitive to him. You know what I mean? And he's just seen so much football. Like, there's not going to be a scenario you're going to be flabbergasted by. And he can have a bad rep. He's going to win the next one. He does not let it hamstring him. He's seen too much. He's done too much. You know, it's just house money, dude. And it's going to be fun. I'm just here for the run.
I'm sorry. He's slinging shit like a 24-hour diner chef with corned beef hash. Fantastic, Jeff. I can't argue with that. I mean, he legitimately kind of is at this point, and you're just out there along for the ride. But like, let's talk Amari Cooper. I'll start with the Amari Cooper conversation here. Career high in yardage. Set the Browns single game receiving record last week this week with 265 yards on 11 catches, two touchdowns. He almost came down with another touchdown earlier in that game. He climbed that ladder and he just and they freaking at one point flipped him upside down on one of those catches, and he just was like, I don't. Yeah. He legitimately said, and when Amari Cooper talks, I listen to what Amari Cooper has to say. But let me see if I can find this exact quote that he had. because it was crazy. But one thing he did say was that he thought, he was like, I could have got 300 on him.
He could have.
Well,
Really?
that's what he was telling Stefanski. When you see him cut in the game when they bench him because they pulled all the starters, he didn't know what the single game record was. So he wasn't going over saying, hey, just give me the record. He was over telling Stefanski, I could go for 3 today. It's that easy. And,
So this is a really good stat from Brad Spielberger over at PFF. This is the craziest aspect of Amari Cooper's 265-yard day. 211 yards came through the air. He didn't break off screens for 80-yard gains. He got open in the intermediate and deep levels, and Flacco uncorked it. 211 receiving yards through the air is the most in the PFF database, and PFF database goes back to 2006.
What?
That's a stupid number. Like, that's a thing that happened. And I can't remember, but basically...
it's Megatron's whole career.
Yeah.
Think about that. God damn.
Yeah. It's just, he's, I don't know, man. I mean, and he also said something, just like you kind of alluded to. He just was, I'm unguardable. I was unguardable. I can do that. He was like, there was just opportunities today. And what did he say in the post-game press, or the post-game locker room when he got the game ball? He said, when we play our brand of football, nobody can beat us. Nobody can beat us.
I love y'all, is what he said after that.
I love Amari Cooper. I do not let him walk. Dear God, do not let Amari Cooper walk.
No, absolutely not.
That's a connection where when it's clicking, I'm not sure how many defenses. The Ravens probably have the best shot because they're probably the best defense in the AFC, not named the Browns, that could slow down Amari Cooper. So I think they have the best shot. But outside of that, I look at the playoff teams. And did you hear that?
Yeah, sorry, that's me.
Oh, okay. Because if it was me, I was freaking out. I just was like, I don't know. That is not a noise that happens in my house. So I'm in a bit of a space. But when you've got that combo, and then you can lean on David Njoku, if they could just figure out how to get 3 yards a game on the ground, just give me 3 yards on the ground per rush, 3 yards per rush, not 3 yards per game, 3 yards per rush on the ground, I think would drastically change how easy it is. And at times, it's still been so easy at times, especially in this game for Flacco and Cooper. And, of course, David Njoku is busting out with him. There's a thought that they may go and re-sign him, and it gets weird next year, which, by the way, I am here for a Flacco versus Watson war off season. I think it'd be hilarious. I would just sit back, just eating popcorn, just watching Twitter, just absolutely have a meltdown. But in the end, man, Kevin Stefanski's coach of the year, and I don't want to hear anything else.
I do want to have that conversation, but I don't want to. Amari Cooper is priority 1 for me because I tweeted out today. Last year, Amari Cooper set his career high in touchdown receptions. This year, Amari Cooper set his career high in receiving yards. With 2 games to go, he's averaging a career high 17.4 yards per reception. That is unreal. That's his best by almost a little over 3 yards. Which what we're witnessing is a career renaissance. There's no other way to say it at this point. Amari is out there dominating. He's one of, I think it's just him and T.O. that have had 175 receiving yards with 3 different teams. He set a Browns career high in most receiving yards in an away game. Then he set a Browns broke Josh Gordon's record, which I thought was never going to get broken. Honestly, like that 251 yards in a game is crazy no matter who you are. So I love that for Amari so much because I was talking to Jacob during the game because we call each other when we woo sometimes. And
I do. I scream in his ear. He always knows. He always holds his phone back, and I just go woo.
I do. He does, and it's awesome. But I was so sad for Amari because he was 10 yards off of the record, and the Browns benched everyone. So it was so fitting for him to catch the first down that really, in my opinion, iced the game, right? Because things kind of got dicey there for a little bit, and they bring the starters back out on the field, and Amari catches the first down, which I think was on a 4th down, if I'm not mistaken. But he catches that for 10 and a first down, and it's just that new set of downs that gets the clock to tick, and then you have breathing room. So I'm so happy for him.
He had 2 really big catches on 4th down. Probably catch of the year was on 4th down too when he toe tapped it.
Right. Yeah. Well, like honestly, when you lose your kicker and your punter, you are in dire straits. And so for the fact that Amari and Flacco, who are both just unflappable, they just went out and handled their business. I love Amari and Casey. I love what you were saying that Amari could be a Hall of Famer. Man, I got to get a 2 jersey. I got to get it. What Amari's doing is you traded a 5th round pick for him. I said that a million. You traded a 5th round pick for him. I don't care what he costs. I don't care. And now it's the ultimate. I mean, talented receivers in the NFL move so seldomly because they are so valuable. And the fact that the Browns got a 5th round pick is executive. Got Amari for a 5th round pick is executive of the year worthy as any move as there is. And we haven't even. There's a list a mile long.
I want to correct you. They didn't trade a 5th round pick. They traded down from round 5 to round 6 for Amari Cooper because they got Amari Cooper and a 6th round pick for a 5th round pick. Don't forget that. It's not even, they didn't even give up as much as you think they did. Because that's what Andrew Berry's done. He did the same thing with Elijah Moore. He traded a 2nd for a 3rd to get Elijah Moore. He traded back and he did it again. Well, he did it again with Elijah Moore because he had done it the year before with just think about that. That's the funniest part is you gave up like significantly more capital to get Elijah Moore. It just shows you how Dallas was just trying to chuck salary.
Unbelievable.
What impressed me the most about that performance wasn't the quantity of catches. It was the quality of catches.
Oh, yeah.
Just complete snatches. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's teach tape. His ability to operate on the boundary and just there with no room for error and just snag it in with ease, man, with ease. Everything he does is so smooth. Nothing's herky and jerky. Everything's on time. It's on rhythm. You know what I mean? It's just,
oh yeah.
He sees the game different. And you hear Stefanski talk about it when he talks about Amari, about how smart he is. And it probably goes overlooked because we don't hear Amari talk a lot. But to your point, that's why you pay attention when he does talk, because he doesn't talk a lot. So when he does say something, you probably should listen up. That dude's got game, and he's been prolific wherever he's been, you know. And he was the number 1 receiver in his class when he came out in 15. Like it's his trajectory, and he's only getting better right now, right? Like right now, I believe he's 28 years old. I mean, I can't fathom a world in which you let that guy walk. And I know he's due some serious money next year. But he's a serious talent. He's you know what I mean? Like don't do what the Cowboys did. The Cowboys, that's exactly the reason they walked from him. And you don't think they miss Amari Cooper? Capital. Yeah, no, don't know. Yeah. Good Lord, and learn from someone's mistakes. You know what I mean? You got to put that guy in the building, man. He's
imagine Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the team right now. I mean, I know they played together. That's the best receiving duo. It's probably the best receiving duo in football. I don't want to slander Tyreek Hill and Waddle, but
it's definitely up there.
I would say it's better than those two together.
Okay.
I would say, but I mean, they're in the conversation with anybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the next mission, right? The next mission is to get one of these young players, whether be it Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, somebody to step up. You know what I mean? And the only way you get to do that is through consistent quarterback play. That's why this final stretch is going to be so much damn fun. You know what I mean? You're going to get to someone else is going to have to step up. Amari's not going to get to do 250 yards a game.
Yeah.
It'd be sweet. I'm not going to get in his way if that's what they want to have happen. It's just the reality is someone else is going to have to step up at some point, and they have enough talent in that room. And we couldn't even judge earlier in the year because the quarterback play was anemic. Well, now it's not. Now you got a guy slinging it. Now, if you get open, you got a guy that's going to hit you, and he's not going to be afraid. Now you can't be afraid to go make the play now. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's they're at a really cool place right now because they have a lot of talent. They got proven players already in place, and they have emerging talent. Now there just needs to be a mesh of that, and then that's how they hit their ceiling over this next 2, 3, 4 week period.
When you talk about ceiling, I just want to ask the question to you both: is there a point at which teams start overcompensating to defend what the Browns are doing through the air, that the run game could at least get a little more breathing room?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't see it yet, but I will say the last Chicago, Jacksonville, and Houston actually have really good run defenses. They do. Like, you know, even though Chicago has some issues on the back end and things like that, they're a scrappy defense more so than some people give them credit for. And I understand that because of the record and things like of that nature, but their run defense is good. Houston's top 5 as well. That's something that I talked about leading up to it. Like, hey, they're both still like, you know, they had a bottom tier pass defense, but an upper tier. You know, we always said that about Nick Chubb. Open lanes for him by throwing the ball down the field so they unload the box. They can't load the box right now. Now you're going to run into teams that have really good defensive line and run defenders on the defensive line and linebackers, and that's what we've seen the last couple of weeks, especially against Chicago, because they have probably the best linebacking room in football. But so you've gone up against teams that have the personnel to actually shut you down running the ball. And I think the Jets are pretty good, but that Jets defense just gets worn out in the second half, and they're not able to do much of anything because they have the worst offense in football, and you have Trevor Siemian. You want to hear something gruesome? Do you remember what happened to Trevor Siemian the last time he played Myles Garrett?
His ankle.
Yeah, he got his ankle snapped in half.
The Monday night game.
That Monday night game that Odell had that massive touchdown. I just realized that's what happened. He got hurt very early in the game because he had been – I mean, those first 2 drives, he was running all over the place, running for his life, and he got hurt in that game. So, like – it's the
same game that Chief broke his wrist.
Yes. That was a terrible night for, like – serious injuries on both sides of the ball. I forgot about that.
Well, they tried to label Myles a dirty player after that game.
His ankle just got caught under his body. Like it just got caught under his body and it snapped. It was very much a what's the word? Coincidence or just like bad luck. Like it was just like, what are the odds that happens?
Happenstance. Yeah.
And it just kind of did. But, you know, you're going up in this situation, you go and you look at it and you say, hey, we got to be able to salt this game away. Because that was something that was part of the big part of the problem in Houston and why the game went on for so long, because they couldn't run the ball to ice the clock. And they were in the position to do so. They just weren't able to do it on a successful clip. So I think so. And Casey may not agree with me, but the way it's going right now, if I'm the Jets, and definitely if I'm the Bengals, because the Bengals may still have a chance at the playoffs come next week. Yeah. I'm not loading the box to stop run. So if you are playing a defense that needs to load the box to slow it down, I don't think you have as much success as some of these teams that they've faced in the last couple of weeks that just have the personnel to do it.
I hate to say it, I have no faith that they get this running game going. I wish I did. Okay. And that is the answer. You think that if you they're going to have to lighten up boxes and play more too high and try to keep everybody down below and not let people extend to the third level, which lends itself to having more running lanes. You're so damn decimated on the offensive line, and even the guys you have in the interior, which are your strength, are banged up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were banged. They made it to the game on Sunday, and they have a quick turnaround by Thursday. I find it hard to believe that they're really going to be that impactful in the running game this week. Long term, maybe. Long term, it just depends on how much more success. How more they need the Flacco. You've seen the tick up in efficiency. I think that's the key, is the efficiency, because he has the arm and they can connect on the plays. But the completion percentage wasn't high those first few weeks. You're starting to see it increase. If that increases, the boxes will become significantly lighter. To me, it's the rotation of running backs, and I've been on this roller coaster with Jerome Ford. Like I see they obviously have faith in the kid. They I mean, whatever he's showing them in practice, he gets the lion's share. He gets first crack at everything. I just keep getting shook by his lack of vision. I keep seeing him run into piles when there's just a sidestep there, and you may only get 2 or 3 more, but it's like the 2 or 3 more you need to be efficient in the run game, and he just leaves meat on the bone. You know, and it's just I don't know. I'm not saying that isn't curable. I just don't know if it's going to happen in season. If it hasn't happened yet, it's hard for me to believe that all of a sudden that just clicks. And so when you look at the explosive runs that they need to hit, you kind of look at Pierre Strong, but there's something that's keeping him off the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. They haven't found the mix. And like, we're sitting here just like mad about it, but we don't have Nick Chubb. Like the whole plan was Nicholas Jamal Chubb.
Yeah.
And it's a great fucking plan. Like it's the best plan you can come up with in all of the NFLs to have Nick Chubb run the football. Well, you don't have that. And these guys are supposed to be supplements to that. Well, now they're the main course. You know what I mean? And with your offensive, when your offensive line's at full complement, I think you can work with that level of back. But when your offensive line, when you're on your 4th and 5th offensive tackles, when your all pro left guard he's hobbled, you know what I mean? And
it's frustrating with Jerome too, because you can see when they get him into space, he makes guys miss. I think of the home run he hit against Indy. I think about the touchdown Joe Flacco threw him against L.A. He's got. I think about the run against the Texans, right? Which I just want to highlight that for a second. It is a pivotal play early in that game when you know you're still like, hey, Brown's got to win this game and we'll see where this thing goes, right? It's Kevin Stefanski. I just need to talk about this for a second. Goes into Wildcat, has Joe Flacco lining up at wide receiver, right? And just says, we're going to get this ball in the end zone. And Jerome just gets it in space and takes it right there. That is back-to-back weeks, man, where there have been some really gutsy. I think that the other one was the Kareem Hunt pass and pitch back to Flacco that then went back to Kareem. Like, he's got these little trick plays that have been working in the last couple of weeks. And it's funny because, you know, when Stefanski calls something that doesn't work, you hear about it all week. I haven't seen anybody talk about that Wildcat play that sprung the Browns for that first touchdown. And there's such nuance to when Stefanski tries some of these things that work, that have been really effective at getting the offense going when they've been struggling so badly to run the ball. And I think that's such a huge credit to him as a play caller. Obviously the offense has been great, but I just feel like it would be a disservice not to talk about Stefanski and his play calling at least a little bit.
They're in perfect, like, synergy. Like they're perfectly in sync. There's the word. They're perfectly in sync right now, where he fully understands, and I'm sure they've had these conversations, but in the heat of the moment, Stefanski understands how to put, we've seen it time and time again. He understands how to put quarterbacks and wide receivers into positions to succeed. In the past, we have seen with, like, when Baker was injured in 2021, Jacoby Brissett, as much as you love him, he's limited as a thrower of the ball. He's not a high-end talent. And, you know, you had Watson, who just was trying to work his way back and things were just not going well. But if you look at, like, 2020 Baker, he was in a lot of really nice situations. And Jacoby was too. Jacoby doesn't have, like, the arm talent Joe Flacco does, or even the arm talent that Baker Mayfield has. But when you watch that and you watch him win games with Case Keenum, you know, almost won a game with half his team out with COVID with Nick Mullins, like, off the practice squad. And, you know, we've seen this, but now he has a guy with legit, because no matter what you want to say about Joe Flacco, his arm is still elite. That arm is still elite. Now, his decision-making can be weird, and sometimes his accuracy is a little high, you know, but I will point out, that for the season, he has an adjusted completion percentage of 69.1. In this game, it was a 75. His actual completion percentage over the 4 games, 52, 57, 63, 64. And so you're in a pretty good spot if you're at 64. If you can get around that 63, 64, I think you feel really good about that number. And like I said, the adjusted was 69 last week and 75 this week. So it's getting there. And I just think Stefanski understands how to put these players in positions to succeed if they're able to take those opportunities. Well, Flacco is the most talented quarterback, arm talent wise. And I get it with Watson. If Watson was who he was in Houston, he's probably more talented than Joe Flacco. But this is the most consistent, talented quarterback he's had. And you're seeing the results the way they are. So, and he's always elevating other guys. But now he's got a guy that can also elevate around him. Flacco is elevating around him. With his ability to go deep, he's elevating those players and giving more options to the playbook that Stefanski has. And I'm sure, like I said, a grizzled veteran, Stefanski and Joe work on this game plan together. They do. Like I would be flabbergasted if they don't. And it's like, okay, what have you seen in this? And what do you see in this? And, and obviously Stefanski has the final say and he's calling the plays. But I just feel like he has just such a great feel for what Joe Flacco wants to do, when he wants to do it, paired with where the weaknesses of the opposing defense is. And I think they're a great combo. They're as good of a combo that's going on in the NFL right now, in my mind.
That's why this Thursday is going to be such an interesting matchup, because how well they know each other. How well Joe knows the Jets, how well the Jets know Joe. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting because the Jets have a very good defense, but the problem is they have no offense. So by the second half, they're just gassed because they're constantly on the field. But talent-wise, they're very talented, man. They got players all over the field. I want to see how they choose to attack this Browns offense, this passing game, because it could be a clue to how other teams are going to look to handle them going forward. Sauce is, he's probably top 5 already, as far as corners in the league. And he had never given up a touchdown in his entire life, not just college, but high school, never, until he met Amari Cooper last year. Wow. Coop got one on him. So I think that's going to be a fun matchup. I think that's just going to, and Joe's not going to hesitate to go at him, just because he's good. He's going to have to earn it. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a fun matchup. But once again, man, like I haven't even looked at the lines. Do you guys have a line on this game? Like what's the point spread? Is it 7?
-7 last I saw it.
Yeah, me too.
You got beaten by more than 7. It's your final home game.
Yep.
You're wearing your all sexy ass whites.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns are asking for a whiteout. So if you're listening to this game and listen to this pod and you're going to the game, they need you to wear white.
Yep.
Which it's good. It'll look beautiful. It'll look stunning. I can envision what that's going to look like at night. That's going to make kind of the stadium kind of glow. But I would guess that white is the least owned apparel color of the color scheme for most Browns fans.
It's still 7.
Is it still 7?
The line is
imagine that'll stick. It might get 7.5, 8. You know what I mean? I don't think it'll move too much. But I'm just being honest. When I look at what last week's game was and when I look at what this week's game is, the Jets aren't going to be able to fucking score, man. Sorry. I didn't mean to go for 2. That's my bad. Well, how are they going to score? What's their grand Trevor Siemian? Like, what's their plan here? Like, this is a team you should run out of your building, man. This is your last home game. Maybe. There's still an outside shot. I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket. But I think if they score more than 10 points, it'd be a post-Christmas miracle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would like to think so. I'm glad. I did a couple things. Number one, Amish just dropped a all white with a white helmet hoodie. That is awesome. I dropped it in chat. And
that is clean. You guys want to go grab that if you can.
It's awesome. And we have so many comments. We're going to get to them. I just want to finish this thought up as we lead into, because thank you everybody for being here. We've had crazy numbers on this show. We love you. Appreciate you. But I just there's so many pieces to this Thursday game, and I'm glad you brought it up, Casey, because number one, you can clinch the playoff game. You can clinch a playoff game. You can clinch a playoff spot. Number two, you could have the most home wins in the NFL. Nobody can beat the Browns because only the Cowboys have 8 wins along with the Browns. They don't have another home game. The Browns do. So the Browns could finish with the most home wins in the NFL. I want that. Number three, you got this whole Joe Flacco tried to go back to the Jets. They didn't want him. Now he's with the Browns, and he can have it along with Elijah Moore. I lost my train of thought for the fourth one, but those are 3 good ones. Those are 3 certainly incredible. Oh, also, you're on national TV, right? The Browns are kind of flown onto the radar, and they haven't been given the respect that they've deserved. Whoever wins that Thursday night game gets all the talk the next day because that's the only thing going on, the most major thing. So the Browns could clinch a playoff spot, have Joe Flacco's revenge game against the Jets, do it at home, be on national TV, and have everybody talking about the fact that they have started 4 quarterbacks and the whole thing. I won't bore you with the spiel. This is a huge – oh, last thing I remembered. Thursday night game. If you win, you clinch your playoff spot. You haven't had a bye since week 5. You get a mini bye, and you could go into the Bengals game, and maybe you throw PJ Walker out there, and some of the guys you could get a little healthy. This is such a crucial, pivotal game for the Browns because not only could they clinch a playoff spot, they could have essentially a bye week if they really want to, or to rest guys, to get ready, to prepare, and to because these seasons are long. It's 17 games. You haven't had a bye in forever. So many things. Sorry.
What? Do you know that song? It's been stuck in my head all damn day. I can't think of who sings it. It's like I think it's Radioactive. Is that?
Imagine Dragons?
Yeah, imagine dragging these nuts across your face. Buzzinga!
That's nasty work.
Oh, amazing.
Nasty work.
Wow.
I did have one stat to throw in there. There's only 3 teams that are still alive for the number 1 seed in the AFC. And it's the Ravens, the Dolphins, and your Cleveland Browns. Ravens and Dolphins play each other this weekend. So let's keep it interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you could. So in that scenario, right, you're still getting a mini bye, right? But then you imagine them having the number 1 seed. Imagine after this whole season, imagine them being the number 1 seed.
Been talking about imagining it a lot.
Oh, well, I'm not finished with that. But I just before we go, this is the first from X comment I've ever seen. So Ray, thank you for being here because we couldn't get the comments for so long, and the fact that you're tuning in from there means a lot to us. And I want to give credit. I believe it's Casey who came with flacked around and found out. Love that. Love you, Dr. Claw. And we got all the Casey love in the chat. Everybody wants to talk to Casey. We love the guy. I love
Appreciate it. Appreciate the love.
Yeah. And we got people realizing your new setup, Mr. Jacob. And apparently we got a new frame coming for the jersey.
Yeah, we got a bunch of things that's going to be going on behind me in the coming weeks and months.
Before we get to what we're watching and closing out the episode here, I just want to say to everybody, we've had a ton of people checking in. Browns Fervor, Flacco Fever, the whole thing. If you'd like that video, if you'd subscribe on YouTube, you'd help 3 guys here pursue their dreams of doing this in a full-time fashion, and it would mean the world to us. So thank you just for being here. It's totally free. It means the world to all of us that you've taken your time. So with that said, what are you watching? I need to know.
This is sad. It was the Christmas season. I was downstairs watching family movies with my children.
Okay.
I've never seen Fred Claus. So I watched Fred Claus. Are you guys familiar with Fred Claus?
Yes.
No.
It's the story of Santa's older brother, Fred, and it's played by Vince Vaughn, where he's basically just Vince Vaughn. Like he's Vince Vaughn, but Vince Vaughn just happens to be Santa's older brother. He's a dirtbag. He's witty. He's kind of likable. He screws it up, but he saves the day it's a classic Vince Vaughn movie. But yeah, that's the only other thing that isn't football that I took in this week was Fred Claus. 2 out of 10 wouldn't watch it again.
Oh wow, that's a review right there.
That's that one's tough.
It was a tough watch.
Jacob?
I've been watching the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and when season 2's out. I'm not sure where they are towards the end, but it got dark quick. They just started killing main characters. I mean, like, we're in like you're in like, when you get in like the second season, like well into it, like 10 15 episodes in, and you're like 40 or 50 episodes into this series, and like there's been a couple of deaths, but it's been mostly like minor stuff. And then like you watch an episode where they kill like 6 main characters, like it was like, and they killed them brutally. I mean, like they burned them alive. Like there was a lot going on there, and it was just
okay.
10 out of 10 would recommend, but just be ready for that. About episode 35, it takes a dark turn.
I'd like to take this moment to step onto a pedestal and perform my TED Talk. I watched the best Christmas movie in existence. It is none other than Die Hard, the classic among classics, which the Browns, awesomely enough, did a spoof off Die Hard with their Christmas post, and I could not believe how many comments there were that has never watched Die Hard. And my heart is happy. My heart is sad. I'm a sad old man. I will cling to Die Hard being a Christmas movie forever. Bruce Willis is a legend. Now we have a quarterback. Ho, ho, ho. And so good luck with that. 10 out of 10 would watch again. Die Hard's a classic. I don't care who knows.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay. With that being said, this has been episode 134 of the Barking Brown Show. A holly jolly one at that. And Nick, it's Jacob. He's Casey. Go Browns.
Yippee-ki-yay.